What's up guys, I'm Dags in the Darkness. Now today's video is going to be a bit more on the serious end. I know you guys, I have been talking about filming a skirmish and that, but as I said in my last video, I was really sick and I'm still kind of head coldy right now. I'm still very like dry throat, coffee kind of shit going on. So hopefully I don't cough too much. Basically, there's a couple of points to this video and I'll go through them in a sec, but I believe the jail ball community is probably going to be ending soon. Now, I've said this before, I've said this, said it in videos before because, cops were moving on specific stuff and, there was, like, specific issues happening in the community. And, we bounced back from it and we did pretty good, but what people don't understand is when stuff happens, there's only two ways things can go. It either can go good or bad, and we've been very lucky things have gone good. So number one, obviously if you're importing, and this is I'm going to say from South Australia's point of view, if you're importing a gelblaster, you need to make sure you get a B709A clearance form. Now, I got told by Firearms Division, once you import it, once Customs seizes it, then you get your form, within 45 days you can collect your item. Now, I've had this happen with my M4A1. Got the notice saying it came in on the 21st of February, got my form by, I think, it would have been the 1st of March. So that's maybe 10 days in between. Went to collect it and it was already destroyed because I didn't declare it. So basically, if you really want the best chance of getting gel blasters in Australia without having any issues, once you purchase your gel blaster, apply for the form, go to your local customs office, which for me is like a 2.5 hour drive away. Go in there, basically tell them you've got permission to have it, what the tracking number is, and stuff like that. That way, when they grab it, if it gets seized, or if it gets scanned and they check it, they just grab it, going, "Yep, he has permission for it," and then you collect it from the customs office. So that's the first one. That there's a lot of misconception about how to get gel blasters and this, that, and the other. Number two, there was a recent, I would say, Facebook post going on about how there's a loophole for replica firearms to be bought in, I think it was New South Wales, because basically, now I've seen this happen before. Basically, what they do is they get a full metal replica. So this is my M4 STD Gen 6. Say they got like this M4 and it was full metal, and they decided that they'd make it into a cap gun. So they'd put like on the top here or something, a little like feeder, so you can feed a strip of caps through, and it's a cap gun. That's how they're getting around that. They're calling it a cap gun, and then it's marketed to children, but it's a full metal replica firearm because it's a replica. So there's some issues with that, and because they're worried that it looks too realistic, that they might have a go at the gel blaster community again. Obviously, these look like toys. Yes, I get if you're in the dark and from a distance away, you could perceive it as a real firearm. But like I've said, I don't think anyone in Australia could have the clearance and or permission to own an M4A1, an M4, an AK, an AK-74U, an AK-12, none of that. So for me personally, if I saw someone walking around with it, I wouldn't be that scared. I'd be more, if it was real, I'd be more astonished in how the fuck they got it. But yeah, you can kind of see where I'm coming up, that, because you couldn't really own it, I don't really see it as like, yeah, it's just stupid. It's just a fear tactic they use to get the public on board and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's kind of like, another issue that you've got to watch out for. And obviously, on private property, you can do what you want with your gel blasters. If you go to a skirmish in public, you've got to follow like rules, and you've got to have signs up allowing everyone to know it, or the entrances and or exits. You've got to have flags marking out your area that you're playing in, and you've got to be very like cautious about it in the sense that it's in public view. You can't call it a Muslim event. You can't do anything like that because they consider it paramilitary training. And even though, to a degree, I can understand why they're calling it paramilitary training, but I feel like Muslim events are just nice events where people that enjoy the same hobby can really get together and experience a good game over like 2 or 3 days. So it's a little bit frustrating that the government looks at it like that instead of looking at it in a a good light. And number three, guys, this is a bit of a concern for me and a bit of a concern for a couple other guys, because there's a couple of places that advertise and sell metal parts for gel blasters. Now, what I've been told by the Safehold Firearms Division, in South Australia, is basically putting metal parts on your gel blaster is illegal, because it changes it from an imitation firearm to a replica, and in Australia you need a replica firearms license or some shit. I know it changes what they consider it. So before, where all you needed was the clearance to get it through customs, and you could just own it without a license, it would then change it and breach it to like the different. I can't specifically remember if they're considered imitation firearms, and then if you put metal parts on, it's considered replica, or vice versa. It's a replica firearm, but then if you put metal parts on, it's an imitation. It's a little bit confusing when they say stuff like that, but I know basically once you put metal parts, if it's a handguard, a buffer, stock, tube, a stock, metal grip for your grip portion, the metal I don't know, forward assist button, the metal mag release, metal open bolt catch, and metal, I don't even know what that's called, I can't remember anymore, whatever that part's called, bolt catch I think it is. Yeah, so basically if you start putting metal shit on there, you can get arrested for it. So the problem is there's a couple of gel blaster pages and stores inside of Australia that sell these products to the community, and basically they don't tell you in your state, like, they don't say, yo, I'm not going to send you this, I'm not going to take your money because you can't actually have this item and you can be arrested for owning it. So that's one of the things that is a bit cautionary, because then obviously we can't say it looks like a toy because it's plastic. I mean, obviously airsoft's made out of metal, and a lot of people go, oh, airsoft is made out of metal, blah blah blah. We don't have airsoft in Australia yet. It's very interesting if you look into why we don't have airsoft. It's quite interesting. It's dependent on state-to-state laws, and it genuinely seems, from some of the research I've been doing, if you want an airsoft firearm, you need to get a permit for it to import it. They're not illegal to own. You just need a permit, but you can't have a fully automatic machine gun. So you couldn't have an M4 or a any kind of military machine gun. So you could go and get like a Glock, or maybe an M1 911, or a couple of bolt action snipers. So that'd be really, really cool. I want to do some more research into that, because basically they just don't want you having a fully automatic metal airsoft toy. So yeah, so that was kind of interesting, a little bit off the side point, but yeah. So it's just because a lot of people go, oh, but airsoft is made out of metal, blah 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 blah. They don't consider it firearms. Yeah, well, unfortunately Australia does, so it's the stupid problem we have. And the last but not least, and this has probably been one of my biggest topics in the on my page in total, talking about modifications. Now, don't get me wrong, if you put a bigger battery on the back, as long as you're not, putting the wrong battery or the wrong cable connectors in, it's fine. It's fine. It's technically a modification, but a lot of the batteries don't last long, and a lot of people will buy 6 or 7 of the same battery. So when they're at the skirmish, they just swap the old batteries out. Some people can't do that. Some people can only spend $40 on a battery and not $180 on batteries. So some people will buy a bigger battery and use it. As long as they know what they're doing, it's fine. But I'm talking about gearbox modifications. Now, I'm not getting mad or angry at anyone that does this. It's just you're going to actually get everyone to lose their hobby incredibly fast. So basically, a lot of people are getting the M4A1 gearbox, which is by far the most superior gearbox out now. And you can buy from eBay and a lot of some Australian stores, Metal Gears, the metal plug assist, which is like a bracket, like a straight bracket that actually pulls the plug back. The metal piston rear, the metal piston front, metal piston tube, a full nylon plastic tube with metal teeth, a high torque metal motor, which isn't different to the normal motors, but it's just more torque and more power, and a 1.3 or 1.4 spring. So that's my problem, where people are, spending about $300-400 in a gearbox. Good on you, mate. If it lasts long, I get it. You don't want a plastic gearbox, whatever. But when the FPS, when they start bragging about getting 400 feet per second in their gearboxes, because they're running full metal gears, better spring, better plunger, metal plunger and piston pieces, it's a concern to the community, because you brag about that and the cops are just going to say, well, if you can do that, we're not having it. We don't consider it a safe sport anymore. And honestly, in all fairness, there's no fairness to it. Where before, if you had a guy with a G36 and a guy with a G36 fighting each other, there's fairness and, a fair level of competition. It's just to do with skill and honesty. And when you start modifying the shit out of your gel blasters, it doesn't become skill and honesty in the end. It becomes whoever has more money and whoever can actually do it. See, obviously, I don't pull apart gearboxes. I'm not a master at doing that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to fuck up a gearbox, So there's a lot of issues there like that. And, yeah, so, these full metal gearboxes, pretty much the only thing that isn't metal is the plastic shell of the gearbox, and people are bragging about it. And I honestly feel like you keep bragging, you're going to have the cops rock up at your house, because last time I got told the standard FPS rating, the police were okay with 200 feet per second. So if you're pushing twice that, they will probably seize your gel blaster, and yeah, you could get everyone into a lot of shit. And I know people go, oh, well, why do you talk about this? It's like, I talk about this because no one else wants to talk about it. Yes, I would love to do modifications. Yes, I would love a full metal gearbox. I would love, metal parts of my gel blasters. But I would rather work in the constraints of what I've been told by the police and by the law, not pushing it, not, breaking the laws. That way, if we all act responsibly with the guidance that they have set, if we had airsoft, they can see that we're responsible enough that we're not going to have stupid issues with other airsoft related products and with gel blasters coming out being better, But if you have people that modify them to get this ridiculous FPS, and imagine, this guy, 28, shooting it, hits a 16-year-old with it. It's going to hurt like shit. It's not going to be a fun, safe hobby that, kids and adults and everyone wants to play. It's going to be for a small community of people that have the money to modify the shit out of their stuff, and then you've got issues. So yeah, guys, tell me what you think in the comment section below. If you've got any questions for me, just hit me up on Instagram of Daggers in Darkness, or on my YouTube. Just comment below if you feel like commenting it. Don't forget to subscribe, turn the notification button on, and share the shit out of this video. I really want people to understand the correct side of gel blasters and what you need to watch out for, because there's so many people that want to play who's got the biggest dick size, and they don't think about what they're doing to the community. So peace out, guys, and I'll catch you next time.